So I'm grateful for that. Are you? Does that mean that at break time when you go out it's lovely and sunny? Do you like that? Anyway, today the word that we're thinking about is this word, the word peace. I wonder what you think of when somebody says the word peace. It might be that you think of the opposite of war. Peace means there's no war. That might be war between countries, or it might be wars between people, might even be wars between you and your friends. It might be that when you think of the word peace, you think about something one of the grown-ups might say at your home. Can I just have a bit of peace and quiet from you children? When we think about peace, do we think about what's going on inside our own lives, or do we think of things that are going on the outside? Quite often, things on the outside of us, other people, other things, can be very unpeaceful, can't they? And sometimes there's nothing we can do about that. But what we're going to have a little look at today is not just the peace that's on the outside of us, but also the peace that's on the inside of us. I wonder whether any of you know who this lady is. Have you heard of her? Her name is Mother Teresa. And she's possibly one of the most peaceful people that the world has ever known. Everywhere she went, she brought peace. She was a very small woman, probably not much taller than the tallest people in your class. But she was very powerful. She had peace inside, and wherever she went, she brought peace. In fact, she won the most important peace prize in the world, what's called the Nobel Peace Prize. And she said, peace begins with a smile. That's a funny thing to say, isn't it? A smile's just a smile, isn't it? Or is it? She said, smile 5 times a day at someone you don't really want to smile at. Do it for peace. When we see people that we're not so sure about or we don't really like very much and we smile, that's a big deal, isn't it? Our story today is about a great big lake. Jesus' friends, lots of them were fishermen, and they used to quite often fish on this lake. But it was such a big lake, much bigger than you can probably imagine right now, that it was sometimes called the Sea of Galilee. So lots of Jesus' friends were used to going fishing on this lake, but it did sometimes surprise you, because sometimes it could be really calm 1 minute, and then suddenly there could be a storm. Now, during our story, there's going to be a storm, and we need to practice a boat rocking to the right, the boat rocking to the left, the boat rocking up, and the boat rocking down. Can we all do that in our seats? The boat rocks to the right, the boat rocks to the left, the boat rocks up, and the boat rocks down. That's when we've got the storm coming, okay? Now it's time for the story. So let's have a look at the pictures, shall we? Jesus was tired. He'd been having a day of teaching. He'd been teaching his friends and his disciples, great big crowds of people, all about how good God is and how much he loved them. But he'd been teaching all day. He'd been very busy, and now he was tired, and he just wanted to spend some time with his friends. I bet you know what that's like. So he said to his friends, how about we just go out on the lake together? Shall we go in one of your boats? So off they went. It was the perfect day. The sky was blue and the lake was blue. And Jesus got in the boat with his friends and they rowed out to the middle of the lake. Jesus was so comfortable and so tired, he decided that he would just have a snooze in the back of the boat. I don't know how comfortable you are on boats. Would you be so comfortable you could go to sleep? I know some people who love boats so much they could always go to sleep, and other people who definitely wouldn't. But Jesus went to sleep. And then suddenly it was not such a perfect day. The sky turned black and the lake did too. The wind stirred up the waves, tall and stormy, and the boat rocked to the right and it rocked to the left and it rocked up and it rocked down, and the disciples were scared. And then the boat carried on, rocking to the right, rocking to the left. Then it rocked up and it rocked down. The disciples were really scared. Jesus, Jesus, help us. Do you know what Jesus did? He just carried on sleeping in the back of the boat. But in the end, they had to wake him up. Jesus, Jesus, we're going to drown. And Jesus stood up. They were all having troubles, even standing up in the boat, but he stood up in the boat and he put out his arms and he said to the waves and the wind, peace, be still. Do you know what happened? The wind died right down, the waves died right down, and the disciples, who before had been so frightened of the storm, were now looking at Jesus. They were almost frightened of Jesus. Who is he that could do something like this, they thought. And Jesus said to them, don't be afraid. I'm with you. I'll always be with you. And if I'm with you, I can look after you. You see, all you have to do is trust me and there will be peace. I sometimes think that boat ride is a little bit like our lives. Sometimes in our lives, all sorts of stormy things happen. People fighting around us, people disagreeing around us, people arguing around us, things that are out there that seem so scary. It's as if there's a war going on around us. Sometimes, like I said earlier, it's as if there's a war going on in here. Our feelings, like when we're scared or when we're frightened, or when we're upset, or when we're angry, or when we're anxious. All those things, they're like a war going on. And yet Jesus is there in the boat and he can just say, peace, receive peace, be still. Do you remember what Mother Teresa said? Peace begins with a smile. It's time for us to reflect now. I wonder, as we come to our time of reflection, we're going to have a little moment with some music and just a picture, time for you to just think about what we've been saying. I wonder whether you've got peace inside your boat, whether you can smile. Christians believe that you can always ask God to help you. You can always ask him to go, peace, be still. And then maybe you could think about some people that you could smile at when you smiled at yourself. Maybe you could think of some people you could smile at. So now, let's just have the music and just spend a little bit of time pausing and reflecting. Well done, everybody. Well, that brings us to the end of our reflection for this week. And I wish you all a very good week. Lots of love, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.